What is up, Project MoshPit? I'm PokeaimMD, and today I'm bringing you guys a Gen 5 standard match I had versus my good friend humanshoe69. A little bit about myself before I get into the actual team description or even the narration of this battle. I'm known around the community as Joey. I like to play standard and Ubers. I actually like to play all tiers, but those two would definitely be my favorite. And I also like to use weird sets or unconventional Pokemon that you won't normally see in OU just because it prevents me from getting bored of the game, and I like to test out how stuff does. So yeah, looking at our teams, he definitely has a bunch of heavy hitters. He has that Latios, Tyranitar, Terrakion. His entire team is full of heavy hitters, and I bring a Zapdos and a Nidoking just because I want to test how well they fared in OU. So I'm thinking that Shaman will definitely be the best lead just because it does have Protect, so I can scout for whatever move his Pokemon go for if they try to trick my Chansey. Like if his Latios tries to trick, I don't want my Chansey getting crippled, so Protect will definitely be helpful. So yeah, let's get into the actual match. Alright, so we're going to start things off with my Shaman versus his Latios. Like I said, I do have a chance on my team to sponge hits from this Latios, but I don't want to go directly into it just in case he does predict that and goes for the trick. So I'm going to go for the Protect right here just to scout what move he locks himself into as he goes for the HP Fire, which is fine by me because I know I am able to freely switch into my Chansey, take minuscule damage, and set up my Stealth Rocks. He does predict that though, which is why he goes out to his Tyranitar just to set up the Sand and scare me out with the potential Superpower. But based on his team structure, I know this is a support Tyranitar, so I know he's just going to go for his rocks right here. So I'm going to lay up my rocks in my own as he does lay up his like I was predicting. And I'm going to switch out to my Nidoking knowing that his Tyranitar really can't do that much to me, as he actually ends up switching out into his Gliscor knowing that my Chansey really can't touch him. So we're both going to be scared of each other outspeeding because I see no Toxic Orb, so I know he's an Adamant, Sword Dance, Acrobatics Gliscor, and he sees my Nidoking, so he's fearing the Ice Beam. So he's going to switch out into his Rotom Wash as I switch out into my Skarmory, fearing the Earthquake just because I am modest, so I knew that his Gliscor would outspeed me. He didn't know that. Unfortunately for me though, he does get the switch advantage right here, so I'm going to switch right out into my Nidoking, knowing he's Choice Scarf because I see no leftovers, and knowing he's going to go for the Volt Switch since I am part ground. That's not going to do anything to me, and I know he's going to switch right here, so I'm just going to go for my first layer of Toxic Spikes as he ends up switching out into his Latios. I don't want to lose my Nidoking just yet. I want to see maybe if I can lay up another Toxic Spike later, so I'm going to switch right into my Chansey, knowing he's going to go for the Draco Meter, and I know my Chansey can easily sponge those hits because it is maxed special defense and calm nature with the Evilite, so it's taking those hits really easily. I am running on relatively low HP, so I'm just gonna go for the Wish right here as he ends up switching out into his Terrakion. Now unfortunately for me, this Chansey doesn't carry the Protect, so I won't be able to stay in right here and take a move, dodge the move with the Protect and recover up to full HP. So I'm actually going to switch right out into my Skarmory, knowing it can take any move. It is max defense, max HP, and it can take any move from this Terrakion and recover with the Wish all the HP it did lose. He ends up going for the close combat. Looking at that damage, he is definitely an Adamant Choice Banded Terrakion. I'm actually using that same Pokemon on this team. I know how much damage it does to Skarmory, and I just know that it is definitely Adamant Choice Banded. But I know he's going to switch out right here just because after the poison damage and the defense drops and Stealth Rocks, he's in a range of HP where I can just go for the Brave Bird and knock him out. So I'm actually going to go for my first layer of Spikes as he ends up going out into his Rotom Wash. I didn't want him going for the Hydro Pump, predicting my switch out into my Nidoking, so I'm going to go into my Chansey, pretty much as Death Fire, just to see what move he locks himself in for. He actually ends up going for the Volt Switch, and now he makes a weird play, goes out to his Terrakion, which is, like I said, a weird play just because the hazard damage and the poison damage is racking up, so he's not really going to be able to freely switch that thing in too much more. He ends up going for the close combat just to knock me out, which is fine by me because I am able to go into my max speed Zapdos. I know he is definitely Adamant just looking at that damage from my Skarmory, so I know I can easily outspeed him and just go for the Thunderbolt right here after those defense drops to knock him out. He ends up switching out into his Tyranitar, knowing I can easily knock him out. And this Thunderbolt does basically nothing to his Tyranitar, proving that he is definitely a support T-Tar. So I do have a Terrakion on my team. I know he's not going to go for Crunch, predicting me to switch out into my Terrakion, trying to get that justified boost. So I'm actually going to go for the Roost right here, predicting him to go for the Superpower, predicting my Terrakion. It works out great for me because I am able to get up to a good amount of HP, and he actually is going to go for the Superpower, predicting just that. It's not going to do anything to my Zapdos, and I know now that since he's a minus at -1 attack and defense. I know he's going to switch out since he really can't do much to my Zapdos just because of those attack drops. So I'm actually going to go for the substitute right here as he ends up switching out into his Latios, which is great for me because with my Chansey down, my team doesn't really have that much for this Latios left, and I want to be able to wither it down with the Sandstorm and the Stealth Rocks damage to as low as possible. So I am behind a sub. I know he's going to go for the Draco Meteor to break my sub, so I'm just going to go for the Roost right here just to get up to almost full HP. I don't really think I can still take these Draco Meteors that well, even though it is only at -1 because he does have that choice specs. So I'm actually going to go for the Roost again because, like I said, Latios is a very powerful hitter and it could still do massive amount of damage even with just the -1 Draco Meteor. So I'm going to go for the Roost, trying to get up to full HP just in case he did try to stay in and go for another Draco Meteor just to do a good amount of damage to my Zapdos. He actually ends up switching out into his Tyranitar right here, which is great for me because I know after the spikes, Stealth Rock damage, and the Toxic Orb damage, the poison damage, I know that he's in range of HP where I can just go straight for the Thunderbolt right here to be able to knock out his Tyranitar. So now he's going to go right out into his Latios. I don't want to lose my Zapdos just yet. It is going to be pretty key to my victory in this game if I do win. So I'm actually going to go out into my Nidoking knowing it's pretty much useless. It already did set up 1 layer Toxic Spike. That's all I'm going to need really, and it's not going to really be outspeeding his Terrakion or his Gliscor, so it's pretty much useless. The best thing that I could sack. So it's going to go down to my Draco Meteor. I'm just going to go out into my Skarmory right here, and I'm just going to go straight for the Brave Bird right here, predicting him to switch out into his Rotom. I want to get as much damage as possible because I know with the Stealth Rocks and Sandstorm damage, he's going to be at a point soon where he can't really switch out unless he wants to die to Stealth Rocks. So he's not at that point just yet, so I'm actually going to switch out into my Shaman, knowing he's going to go for the Volt Switch. I do resist that, so I'm going to be able to take those really easily. He actually ends up Volt Switching out into his Gliscor. He really should have Volt Switched out into his Latios because it's obvious that he was going to go for the Acrobatics right here since I see no Toxic Orb damage, and I'm not going to stay in just because I do have that Skarmory, which does easily wall this Gliscor. So I'm going to go into that as he ends up going for the Flying Gem boosted Acrobatics. Not going to do anything to my Skarmory, and now I know he's going to switch out since he really can't stay in, since I can easily just set up spikes on him all day. So I'm actually going to go for the Whirlwind as he actually ends up going out to his Terrakion, predicting me to go for 1 layer spikes. We want to try and get the free switch in before he ended up dying to hazards. That's not going to be the case. I go for the Whirlwind, and now when he comes back in with that Terrakion, it will die to the entry hazard. So unfortunately for me, I do Whirlwind him out into his Latios. I'm just going to go into my Shaman as pretty much death fodder. Looking at my team and what he has left, it is pretty much the most useless Pokemon just because it doesn't outspeed his Gliscor. He can knock it out with an Acrobatics, and he does have a Dragonite that can easily take advantage of me only having Grass Stab and HP Fire. So he goes for the Draco Meteor. I'm actually going to go out into my Skarmory now, and even though I am Steel type, I'm actually max defense. Like I said, I'm not a careful nature Skarmory. So I know this Draco Meteor is still going to do a lot even at the -1. So I'm just going to go for the Roost right here just to recover to a good amount of HP. And by the way, guys, I actually say -1 just because he is holding a choice spec, so it does cancel out the -2. It is -1. Just trying to make that clear. Now he's gonna go for another Draco Meteor. I'm actually not gonna Roost up this time. I'm actually gonna go for the Brave Bird just because I kind of had a plan with the Skarmory. I want it to be at a low amount of HP as to where he can just go into his Rotom, and just in case it did live the Stealth Rocks, he can go for any move and knock me out. That's exactly what happens right here. He goes into his Rotom. He told me he lives the Stealth Rocks with 4 HP, and I'm leaving my Skarmory to die to the Hydro Pump as he ends up going down to the sand. Now this is great for me because I know my Zapdos does outspeed the rest of his team, and the rest of his team is weak to the HP Ice, which luckily for me, I do carry on this Zapdos right here because I don't carry Sub Toxic. I carry Sub HP Ice. He goes into his Dragonite. The Multi Scale is going to be broken because of the Stealth Rocks, and because Zapdos does have a high special attack stat even without any EVs, because I have no EVs in special attack at all. It's still going to be able to knock out that Dragonite. Now he's going to go on to his Gliscor. I'm going to be able to outspeed it, knock it out with the HP Ice. Thankfully no Sand VO hacks, even though it wouldn't really matter just because Acrobatics wouldn't have really been doing that much to my Zapdos. And his last Pokemon, which is his Terrakion, is going to go down to the entry hazard. So yeah, good game Shoe, really good game Shoe, guys. Definitely check him out. He uploads consistently. And yeah, until next time, guys, later, Project Mosh Pit.